Okay, thank you very much. Good morning, everyone. I'd like to call the meeting to order and acknowledge that we are in Treaty 1 territory, the home and traditional lands of the Anishinaabe, Ojibwe, Inuit, Cree, and Dakota peoples, and in the national homeland of the Red River Métis. Our drinking water comes from Shoal Lake 40 First Nation in Treaty 3 territory. My name is Cynthia Stevens, and I'll be chairing the hearing this morning. Joining me today from the Board of Revision is Ms. Diane Knight and Mr. Richard Whitbread. Our assessor today is Mr. Jonathan Spacek, and our administrative personnel is Ms. Sally Cofield. To the Zoom participants of the hearing, please note you are placed in the waiting room until your property is called upon. When it is your turn, you will be admitted to the meeting. Kindly follow along the City of Winnipeg's Board of Revision YouTube channel for the hearing process. Once the host admits you into the hearing, please close or mute your YouTube player. You will then be permitted to speak with respect to your property. Once your hearing has concluded, you can leave the meeting. We will be hearing applications for revision of the assessment roll in accordance with the Municipal Assessment Act. The matters for which revision is requested have been described in each application, and we will limit discussion to those matters. The statements that are made at this hearing are sworn testimony, and anyone speaking to the matters must be sworn in. Be advised that comparisons of assessments of properties are not considered evidence of the market value by the Board of Revision. The Board of Revision is appointed annually by Council and is independent of it and the City administration. It makes its decisions on the basis of the evidence provided at this hearing and issues a written order that will be mailed to all parties as soon as possible. Please note that the Board's decisions with respect to an application may be appealed to the Manitoba Municipal Board if the matter pertains to assessed value or classification, or to the Court of King's Bench if the matter pertains to the application of exemptions from taxation. Should you wish to appeal, information on how to do so will be included in the Board's order. With respect to the hearing process, I will confirm the points of appeal with your property to be addressed with each applicant following the swearing in. We will then have the assessor's testimony followed by questions that the applicant may have, and then the applicant's testimony followed by questions. Each side will have an opportunity to summarize if they wish. Once all of the evidence about an application has been brought forward, the applicant may leave. The process will repeat for each item on the docket today. The session will close after all applications have been heard, and the Board will deliberate in private to make its decisions. We will receive the Board's decision by registered mail as soon as possible. As information, all public hearings are live streamed, recorded, and will be part of the public record. We will be hearing item number 1 on our docket today. Ms. Cofield, please affirm the assessor's and the applicant's testimony.
Mr. Assessor, please state your full name. Mr. Assessor, please state your full name.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, we can. Thank you.
My name is Jonathan Spacek.
Do you affirm that the evidence you are about to give at this hearing is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do, yes.
Thank you. Please stand. Please state your full name.
Marcelo Navarro.
Do you affirm that the evidence you are about to give at this hearing is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. So our first item only item on the docket today is 187 Gary Street. And just to confirm, we are discussing assessed value only. Is that correct?
Yes, from my understanding, yes.
Okay, Mr. Navarro, that's
correct.
Okay, thank you. Okay, Mr. Spacek, you can proceed to read this item onto the roll and with your presentation. Thank you.
Thank you very much. We are looking at roll number 1209-3150100, file number 24-14. This is the 2023 supplemental assessment for 187 Gary Street. We have a 2023 value of $2,256,000. And if we scroll down to my second page, you will see that this is the old Windsor Hotel. So approximately September 13th of 2023, the Windsor Hotel had a fire. It burnt down. It was completely demolished and removed from the site by December 13th, 2023. So effective December 13th, approximately 2023, the parcel use switched from hotel to vacant land. So it fell under our office portfolio. I've had lots of vacant land hearings before, but this is located at 187 Gary. It is approximately 23,015 square feet. And that value of $2,256,000 can be seen on page 3. We're valuing all 23,015 square feet of this property as a vacant land, so it's on its land value. And what's left of this property, as you can see on page 2, is a partial parking lot. So the parking lot is still there; it is still being ran. The approximately 10,000 square feet of which used to be hotel building is now just vacant land, soil. It's been demolished and removed, but so it's partially land, partially parking lot, but it's a 23,015 square foot lot we're looking at $98.02 a square foot, and that's how we get that total value of 2,256,000. If we look on my page 3, I've included 5 land sale comparables downtown. So what I did try to do was find 5 larger lots downtown of similar size. There's not a ton of sales, but there are some over the years. You'll see my comparable one is Pioneer Avenue, and I've included pictures and location of all these comparables if you scroll down. So just so you can look at as I'm speaking to them, page 4 has Pioneer Avenue, which is just east of Main Street. You can see where that is. Comparable number 2 is 242 Hargrave, where they built True North Square. If we go to page 4, or sorry, if we scroll down to page 5, you'll see the top one is 187, is 170 Bannatyne Avenue. So this is in the Exchange at the corner of almost Main and Bannatyne. We have comparable number 4, which is 127 Bannatyne, so just down the street and across from the last comparable. Again, these are all parking lots sold when they were parking lots. And then comparable 5 on page 6 is 155 Gary. This is just located just a couple lots down from our subject property. So I will go back to comparable 1, which again, the summary is on page 3. The parking lot on Pioneer Avenue is 27,811 square feet. It sold August 14th, 2019 for $3,800,000 at $136 a square foot approximately. And it is still operated as a parking lot today. It's just a lot used as a parking lot. We have comparable number 2, which is 242 Hargrave. So this is the site of True North Square, where they built the large office complex. We have a 70,000 square foot lot, so it's much larger than our office property. It was sold much larger than our subject property. It was sold March 1st, 2016 for $6,840,000. So this is $96.98 a square foot. And this one had the office building built after. Comparable 3 is 170 Bannatyne. This is one of our most recent comparables. It's selling on October 9th, 2019. It's slightly smaller than our subject property at half the size, 11,140 square feet, and it sold for $95 approximately a square foot. Comparable number 4 is down the street from the one I just spoke of. It's 127 Bannatyne. It is 12,637 square feet. So again, smaller than our subject property, sold October 9th, 2019 for $1.2 million. And that works out to $94.96 a square foot. They are currently in the process of building a multifamily apartments on this lot. A comparable number 5 is our oldest sale. It's 155 Gary, but due to similarity in size and location at 18,000 square feet and just down the street, it sold in June 5th, 2015. So this is an older sale. It hasn't been adjusted. It sold at that time. So, it sold 2015 for $84.78 a square foot. So again, we have a range from $84.78 to $136 a square foot across 5 larger lots downtown. Again, I consider them similar to our subject property, and our subject property is at $98.02 a square foot. Again, pretty straightforward for my comparables and this property. So if you have any questions, please let me know. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Navarro, any questions?
Yeah. The first question is, did you look at these sales and with any depth? Like, did you do anything other than just scan for the sales, or did you actually go into the sales and maybe see some of the issues with the sales conditions, that type of thing?
Well, I like to make sure they're fee simple. I like to make sure they're not multiple sales. I like to make sure, I did all my usual look into the sales to, were they analyzed by our department and considered good sales? Yeah, all of that was done, and
Okay. You would agree that there is still a parking lot here?
Yeah, absolutely. Still a partial parking lot being used.
Okay. So at the moment, in terms of what the highest and best use of this property is, would you say that it is parking because that is what it's being used for?
I would say I would agree that it's currently being used partially as a parking lot. I don't know if that's the highest and best use, but its current use is partially a parking lot with excess land.
Did you find any permits on this property, contemplating development?
I did not find any permits, no.
Okay. I believe those are my questions. Oh, actually, no, I do have some further questions. Some of your comparables, especially Pioneer, the first comparable, would you say that that is a parking lot that's associated with a large office complex, namely 333 Main Street, which is the Bell MTS Tower?
Yeah, I would agree with you.
Okay. And 242 Hargrave really didn't sell for its parking potential, correct? That was a very large lot, perfect dimensions in terms of it was almost a perfect square, which you don't really find too much of in the downtown. And you mentioned yourself that that is where True North was developed, correct?
Correct, yeah. Sold for the land value, absolutely.
Okay. And I believe that you also mentioned that one of the other lots in the Exchange District had also been is now under development, correct?
Correct, yeah. 127 Bannatyne, I believe, is becoming a multifamily unit.
Okay. Now, okay, that is all my questions. Thank you. I do have some rebuttal on the last sale, which is 155 Gary Street. So whenever you want me to present that, I will.
Okay, we'll do your rebuttal after your presentation, if that's okay, Mr. Navarro.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Okay, Mr. Whitbread, do you have any questions?
Maybe more for clarification. Again, it's been quite a few months since we've done any of these. I'm looking at the reference date of April 1, 2021. And I heard a reference from Jonathan that at 2023, December 13th, it was considered vacant land. Is that correct, Jonathan? Did you make that?
Correct, yeah. Mm-hmm.
And so what are we looking at here? Are we looking at a hotel in operation at 2021 or a parking lot in operation at 2021? What, can you clarify this for me?
So the physical condition of the property we're looking at, and it's for the supplementary notice, we are looking at as a piece of vacant land as of December 13th, 2023. So that it's for the physical condition. You go past the reference date. The reference date is for economic conditions. So we're looking at how it is. Again, it's, it sounds a little odd, but it's in this case, the physical condition of the property is vacant land, and that's why we put out that supplementary notice, and that's how we're looking at it for valuing it.
Okay, so this 23,000 square feet, is that the entire property?
Yes, that's the whole lot. Yeah.
And is a section of that cordoned off where the hotel, the burned out hotel, used to be, or is it
the pictures I looked at and when I've been by it, it's just soil now. Like it's been teared down, cleaned up. As of December 13th, it was like you could walk over it. It was cleaned up, and people are still parking their cars right beside the empty land right now.
And are they generating revenue?
Yeah, the parking lot's, from my understanding, still running as it was.
So it was 44 before, it's 44 now?
For stalls, I believe so, yeah.
No, sorry, 44 spots?
Yeah, I believe so. It hasn't been changed yet to a full lot or anything. Nothing else has been changed from my understanding.
I see.
And again, for our value, it's just vacant land. Like, we're not even looking like as my value for the $98 a square foot. It's just as it would be sold as land or as a parking lot, but for that per square foot value, we're not using the income for the 44 stalls is just so low. It doesn't compete with the land value.
You're just using the comparison value. Mm-hmm. So I understand that. Okay, maybe I can wait the further questions till I hear Mr. Barrow. Thanks.
Okay, thank you. Ms. Knight, do you have any questions?
Just the comparable number 5, that was sold in 2015. So if you were
Yes.
going to bring that up to the other dates of the other 3 properties, say 2019,
Mhm.
what would the value be then?
It would be much higher. It would be over $100. You know what? For the smaller paired sales, like the only pair sales I can find for vacant land downtown are smaller, like 6,000, 8,000 square foot lots. So, but the average is approximately 1% a month for land is what we find
Okay.
on our end. So you can imagine it would be
Yeah.
much higher adjusted. But again, then I'm bringing in smaller paired sales. But I do believe the land value has appreciated since 2015. So that $84, but we're looking at it in 2015. But if we were looking at it today, I do believe it would sell for more than $84 a square
Okay.
foot in today's market. But
Right.
that's
Okay.
just my
Thank you.
opinion. Thank you.
Yep.
Okay, yeah, just a clarification to be sure that the part of this property that is being operated as a parking lot right now was being operated as a parking lot before the hotel
Yes.
burned down.
Yes.
Okay, so it's the lot that hasn't changed.
That
So
hasn't
it's just
changed. Now
it's
it's
the
just
hotel property.
the
Okay.
hotel's down, so now it's not considered a hotel. Now it's just considered vacant land.
Okay.
And
And
say they expanded the whole parking lot over the next, say they decided, hey, let's make it all a lot for now, and then we would update our system, we would update the amount of stalls. I'm sure a parking value would come. I can't say for certain, but somewhere closer to the land value, and then we'd be looking at both. But in this case, we're looking at land because it just overrides the parking value by that much.
Okay, so that's what you're saying, that the value, the income from the parking lot is so low that you didn't look at it as a parking lot, you looked at it as a vacant land in terms of.
Yeah, and even
Okay.
it doesn't come up for us as because the land value is so much higher. The parking lot
Okay.
doesn't come up
Okay.
to discuss.
Okay, thank you very much.
No problem.
Mr. Navarro, please proceed with your presentation.
Okay. This is 187 Gary Street. If you look at page 6, you can see the general location. You can see what used to be the hotel right beside the parking lot. And in terms of highest and best use at the moment, it is a parking lot. On page 10, we have a set of comparables of parking rates that we've drawn from. We've set this at $80 a stall for 44 stalls. That gives us 42,240. We've set a capitalization rate of 5%. That is the capitalization rate that we've gone for most locations inside the downtown where it's not an exceptional location. So our income value is $844,800. To that, we've added excess land of $862,400 for a market value of $1,707,200. If you look at my land comparisons, I believe we probably use some similar land comparisons as well. In terms of the capitalization rate, again, I've gone with 5% capitalization rate. In the appendix, you can see on the first page over, you can see the parking lot. It is lot 44. I believe this may be an in-park lot. And you can see the random rate for the monthly rate there of 130. Now that rate is low in comparison to some of the other rates that I've listed. However, the rates that I've listed range between, I believe it starts at around $67, $69, and goes all the way up to about $125 monthly, and that is net. Now, what I would say about this rate, and the parking people that actually determine these rates are smart people. They know their industry. They know why they set their rates at a certain rate. Obviously, they've set their rate a little bit lower because this parking lot was probably having some issues at some point. However, I'm also taking into account what's happened after April, or just before the reference date of April 1, 2021, which is that we were already into the pandemic. People were working home. Parking incomes had already started to fall in mid 2020. So we reflected that in the rate that we applied. On page further on, you can see some of the site pictures. You can see also that it has no hydro. I believe, you know, at one time it may have had hydro, but it doesn't anymore. I didn't number these pages, but I believe it is the second last page. You can see a picture of an apartment building in the back, and the site where the hotel used to be is now fenced off from the parking lot. So effectively it can't be used as parking. It's fenced off from the rest of the site. So that's also one of the reasons I've applied an excess land value to that area, because we can't use it for anything else at the moment. And at the moment, the parking seems to be the highest and best use. So that is my presentation. I'm ready for questions.
Thank you very much, Mr. Spacek. Do you have any questions for Mr. Navarro?
Yeah, just quickly, for the 8,800 square feet you're using for excess land, how did you determine that square footage exactly? Because I'm getting when I just use an aerial measure, I'm getting closer to 10,000. I was just curious.
That was using an aerial.
Okay.
Yeah.
I believe that is my only question. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Knight, do you have any questions for Mr. Navarro?
I do not.
Mr. Whitbread?
I have none.
Mr. Navarro, I don't know if you're aware, when the hotel was standing and there was a parking lot next door, were they assessed separately or?
No, they were assessed together as part of the hotel. I believe the entire assessment was around 1.1 million, and so I mean that's what caused this appeal, is that it basically doubled in value.
Okay. And the parking, as we determined for the parking lot, was being operated as a commercial parking lot at the time that it was assessed with the hotel on it.
Correct. I'm not sure how it was assessed as a hotel, because the current owner bought this property in early 2023. So we're not aware of what was happening at that time, but based on the pictures that we can see from Street View, it was being used as a commercial parking lot at that time.
Okay. Okay, thank you. All right, I think Mr. Navarro, you mentioned you had some rebuttal.
Yeah.
Okay, so I guess we need to, is it there now, Sally?
Yes, it is.
Okay. I'm just looking here.
If you need to refresh your browser, it should pop up.
I'll try that.
Did you receive it, Mr. Assessor?
Yes, thank you very much.
Yes, I believe I've got it here as well. Just a second. Yeah, does everybody else have it?
Yep.
Yes.
Okay, great. Mr. Navarro, go ahead, please.
Okay. So this pertains to that last sale at 155 Gary Street. The reason that I brought this up is that I don't necessarily disagree with some of the comments that Mr. Spacek said about it, in terms of, you know, today or currently the value of it would probably exceed $84 per square foot. I don't doubt that. That is today though. So we are looking at April 1, 2021. And another issue with this sale is when it happened, it was not an atypical sale. So your atypical sale would be a sale that occurs through a brokerage firm. And this sale did not occur through a brokerage firm. It was a tender. So if you're familiar with the tender process, government agency or whoever issues a tender, that goes out and people start to bid on it. Now that process in itself is closed off. So You can maybe relate to the real estate sector, the residential real estate sector, where you have a closed bid system. In certain environments that can cause a lot of issues, and especially driving up the values of properties as people start to panic and buy it out. What I'm saying about this property is that one, it wasn't advertised. There's no brokerage firm. There was no third-party negotiations. There was no exposure. All of that is not there. So this was not an atypical sale. So when I'm saying that it did sell for 1,526,000, it may have needed some adjustment. Because at the time, we simply didn't think that value was appropriate. And we pointed out the issues with this sale when it originally occurred. So you can take the sale, but I would stress that there has to be some adjustment that would have to be placed on this sale, because again, in an open environment, you can probably have, many people negotiating for the property in a closed system like the tender process. All I think is going to happen is it's going to drive the price up, because somebody's going to want it enough that they're going to pay whatever they need to pay to get it. And that's not really based on any market appraisal or market fundamentals. It's based more on whether they have the means to actually acquire it. On page 8, you can see the tender itself. This went through the Merck system, which is a national tender system. And it also points to the need to carefully look at these sales, because we're looking at the highest and best use value. One of the reasons that we often disagree with the assessor on taking a land value for a parking lot is that at the moment, that is the highest and best use. It's not being used for anything else. And there's no indication that there is potential for development. And I think that's where, you have to look at this and see that some of the other comparables are influenced by other things. So that is why we chose parking as its highest and best use and valued it accordingly, and then added an excess land value for the portions that can't be used as parking.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Spacek, do you have any questions on the rebuttal?
I have no questions. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Whitbread, any questions?
I have none.
Ms. Knight, any questions?
No, ma'am.
No, and I do not either. So, Mr. Spacek, do you have any requirement for summation?
I do not. Thank you so much for everyone's time. Okay,
Mr. Navarro, any summation?
I do not. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you both very much, gentlemen. We've heard all the items scheduled on our docket today, and the hearing is now adjourned. Thanks a lot.